On this week's episode of Inside Iowa, check out the Tallgrass Prairie that's outside the State Hygienic Lab and discover its importance. See how the University of Iowa Symphony Orchestra is collaborating with conductors in China. Meet a little girl who was born with a heart condition and how the Children's Hospital was prepared. And stop by a job fair on campus at the Iowa Memorial Union. Hi, I'm Haley McMiniman, and you're watching Inside Iowa, your guide to discover more about the University of Iowa and how it makes a difference. Coming up first, discover why a portion of the grounds at the State Hygienic Laboratory at the University of Iowa Research Park includes a tallgrass prairie. David Larabee-Zierath, a chemist on staff at the lab and a prairie enthusiast, explains the importance and benefits of preserving these lands, which once covered nearly half of the United States.
The tallgrass prairie is the natural ecosystem of this part of the countryside. It is native to this part of the country. It is bounded on the east by the eastern forests and on the west by the shortgrass prairie. It was thought when the European settlers first got here that the soil was too poor to even grow any trees, but the truth of it was so rich and fire was so effective in keeping the trees down that the plants that were here built up the richest soil in the world. All that needed to be done was to cut through it, and it would grow anything. One of the really nice aspects of tallgrass prairies is, unlike your lawn, you don't have to water this, you don't have to fertilize it. Your normal lawn will send down roots about 4 inches, and when it runs out of water in that 4 inches, it starts to dry up. A prairie will send down roots 10, 20 feet, and when it runs out of water in 10, 20 feet, then it starts to dry up, but it's never going to run out of water in 10 or 20 feet. So there's very low maintenance. That's one of the reasons why the DOT plants it alongside interstates, because they don't have to mow it. All they have to do is go in there and mow out something that they don't want, but they only have to do that once a year. Even without fire, which really enhances prairies, you can get a very nice, no maintenance landscape with a prairie. The tallgrass prairie has been planted into this area out behind the hygienic laboratory. What you see here is now just basically weeds. They're plants we don't want to see. They're plants that come up very quickly whenever there's bare soil. What you've got here is giant foxtail, ragweed, and that sort of thing. They're like the sprinters that start off the Bix road race over there in Davenport in late July. There's some people that jump out ahead and are leading for about the first 100 feet, and then the marathoners take over and they get left behind. Prairie plants are like that. They're the marathoners. They spend all their time when they're first planted putting down very deep roots that eventually take over from these opportunists that start off. The opportunists are very helpful in that they hold the soil in place until the other stuff can get established. But 3 years from now, you won't find any of them here. I think as the state's environmental lab, I think it's important for us to set an example and to use it as an educational tool. We can be an educational source. I hope to get everyone familiar enough with a prairie to know what it looks like, so that when you're driving down the interstate or along some of these country roads, you'll recognize a prairie just by looking at it. You should be able to recognize some of the plants even when you're going past them at 60 miles an hour and start naming them off. This is a work in progress right at the moment. It's typified by the stuff that comes up early. Be patient with it. It's going to look a little, as they say, weedy. But a weed is just a plant that's planted in the wrong spot. Eventually it's going to look more like a garden, especially once they learn what the plants are and can say, oh look, the the asters have started to bloom, or the vervain is in bloom now, and oh look, the tall grasses have bloomed and now they're setting seed. It'll be fun, and like I said, educational. There's probably a couple hundred different plants that typify the tall grass prairie, and I hope to see lots of them here. One of the fun things about the tall grass prairie is finding a plant that you don't know what it is and trying to figure out what it is. Go to books, go to experts. That's the fun of it. There's plants here that I don't know what they are, planted in various locations around the laboratory. I'm going to have fun figuring out what they are.
Dr. William LaRue Jones and visiting conductor Joe Jean from the Wuhan Conservatory of Music in China praised each other while preparing for the University of Iowa Symphony Orchestra concert. Decision-making on the songs consolidated both conductors, creating a collaborative and worldly musicality. Both plan on working together more in the future.
We began rehearsals after we came back in January, so it's not a long time frame. We end up with sometimes 3.5 weeks of rehearsals before performances. They can have a chance to do a little bit of their own private practicing and preparation, and then we just go after it. Last May, I was invited to the Wuhan Conservatory of Music in China. Professor Joe Jin is the orchestra director. And so I did master classes with his conducting students and conducted the orchestra. And we're actually developing a relationship between our university and the conservatory so that we can develop some exchanges between faculty and students.
Both of us enjoyed working with each other, and I admired his conducting and his personality. The orchestra here and the University of Iowa is also the name is very popular in China, so that's why I came here with Professor Jones because of him.
Normally, you sort of start out with a solo that you're considering, and then you put other pieces around it. So when I was talking to Alan Huckleberry earlier, then last spring, when I was making the programming decisions, and we decided we'd do the Beethoven Fourth, then you start thinking of pieces that could be paired with it. And then by having a guest conductor come in, that added another piece that he brought with him from China.
I just want to express my thanks to Professor Jones and the School of Music here and the University of Iowa for this kind invitation to me to visit University of Iowa and enjoying working with the students and the faculty here, and I enjoy the atmosphere here very much.
Ellie Schmidt was born with a heart condition. Half of her heart wasn't developed, but the team at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital was prepared. They performed a series of surgeries, including one the night she was born, so blood flow could be rerouted and she could live a normal life.
Ellie was born at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital with a diagnosis of hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which simply means that the left side of her heart was not developed properly and could not function on its own. She needed a series of 3 surgeries to get her blood to flow passively.
They did a procedure the night she was born right away to open a valve inside her heart.
Basically, half of her heart is working. She's single ventricle.
Hypoplastic left heart syndrome is a type of heart problem that can't be surgically corrected, but we have a series of surgeries that reroute the blood flow through the body that enable these kids to live pretty productive lives if everything goes well. She's doing great. She, is an active, happy, vibrant toddler who I think is entertaining to everyone around her.
She just started dance this year. She did fantastic and she loves it. So it's great to see her being active.
You never know that she's been through what she's been through.
This is the most complicated heart condition, and they explain it so that we who have never even heard of CHD before could understand what's going to be going on with our baby. If we could say anything to the University of Iowa Children's Hospital, the surgeons, the doctors, and nurses, we just want to thank them. I mean, we can't do anything else but just thank them so much because they literally saved Ellie's life, and we don't know what we would do without them. They've become like a second family to us.
We truly thank them for everything that they've done for Ellie and her progression through her surgeries. It's just been a great blessing to have them help her and explain everything to us.
They just take the extra effort and they know just what to do. The specialists down here are just amazing and we love them so much.
The University of Iowa held a job fair at the Iowa Memorial Union for students to network and meet with employers for internships and jobs. Iowa strives on preparing students for careers once they graduate. That wraps up another exciting episode. Join us again to learn more about your university and how it makes an impact in the community. For Inside Iowa, I'm Haley McMiniman. Thanks for watching.